Hello everyone. Today I am going to deliver a lecture on welded joint static analysis. Today's topics title you can say is welded joints subjected to bending moment. So, last class I have discussed about welded joint subjected to some eccentric load in its plane of weld. Today I will discuss once the welded joint subjected to bending moment. So, how to design that welded structure, or you can say how to find out the dimension of that weld, that related things today I am going to discuss. So, this is the content of today's lecture. So, here I will discuss about first theoretical concept of welded joint subjected to bending moment. After that I will solve some problem on welded joint subjected to bending moment. Let us consider here a cantilever beam of rectangular cross section which is subjected to a support by means of two welds W1 and W2 as shown in this figure. So, you already well familiar with beam. So, the definition of beam we can say it is a structural component which is subjected to transverse types of loading. So, you know that depending upon this loading condition, generally the structural component have given different types of name. So, once the structural component subjected to some transverse types of loading, or you can say the load which is perpendicular to its axial direction. So, this is the axial direction, here the load is acting perpendicular to this axial direction or perpendicular to its axis, you can say, it is called generally beam. So, what is a cantilever beam? So, cantilever beam is such a structural component where these beams one end is fixed, here you can see this one end is fixed and another end is free, here you can say. So, in this free end there can be a point load P. So, this is the point load P. So, if the cantilever beam which is fixed by these types of weld W1 and W2, so what should be the design parameter, or you can say what should be the dimension of this weld for these types of connection. So, what should be the procedure we should follow, that now I am going to discuss. Here first of all I will replace this force P to weld center G. So, for replacing this force, you know, so once we replace this force P to weld center plane, then what should be its effect, that is very well familiar to you. So, here you can see in previous case whatever the topics I discussed, there I discussed the weld is along the same plane of that structure. So, in last class we were discussed eccentric types of loading structure which is subjected to some eccentric types of load. So, there what we discussed, there we discussed the plane of that structure. So, this is the plane of this, this is the bracket. So, whatever the plane of this bracket, so the weld plane also. So, here generally we are doing the welding. So, plane of this bracket or structure is same as the weld plane, but in this case you can see this plane, the plane of this beam and this plane of this weld is perpendicular to each other, that you can see here. Now, so once we generally see from front side, then generally what happens, we can get the front view of this welded plane. So, this weld plane which I am showing here, this is the weld plane. Now, in this weld plane, once we shift this force P to this weld plane, so in this weld plane, due to this transforming of this force to new position, there will develop a equal magnitude force and same directional force, and there will develop a moment. So, here whatever the moment will develop, that moment is what? That moment is generally bending moment. But in previous case, due to replacing of this force P in case of eccentric types of load in same weld plane. So, in that case whatever the moment it was developing, that was generally torsional types of moment, you can say that was torsional types of moment. So, this was the previous case. So, this torsional moment due to replacing of this force P from this location to center of this G, there was developed a torsional moment mt and there was developed a equal force P once we generally transfer this force from this position to G. So, in previous case we observed that this torsional force try to rotate this bracket, So, due to this torsional effect on this bracket, we know that this torsional moment mt was developing a torsional shear stress. So, this was developing a shear stress, but in this case whatever the moment is developing due to this transforming of this force from P to its center of the center, or you can say center of this plane of weld. Let us here once we transfer this force to the center of this plane, there will develop a new force P and a moment M, or you can say couple M. This moment will bend this beam or bend this welded structure. So, that is why this couple is called bending moment. So, but previous case in due to the same plane of this moment, that moment was try to rotate that bracket, but here this whatever the couple or moment is developed in this case for this beam problem, this moment will try to bend that beam, not rotate. So, as it is trying to bend that beam, that is why what happens here will develop a normal stress, because it is try to stress or compress that beam element, you can say, because what happens once the beam, you can say here I am just drawing, then it will be more clear to you. Why I am discussing this thing? Because this is required, otherwise you may be confused with this previous case, that is why I am here discussing this thing. So, here you see, so in previous case that weld was in same plane, but here the weld is perpendicular to the plane of this beam, you can say, or you can say it is this its plane is along its cross sectional direction, that you can say. Okay. So, this is generally weld, here the welding is done. So, once we generally apply a force P here, then what happens due to this it is bend like this. So, once this beam is bending, then you can say due to this bending its top fiber is stressed and bottom fiber is generally compressed. So, once we let this is a rectangular cross section. So, once we take the neutral axis of this beam, we are very well familiar with these things. So, if we draw the stress distribution, we know this stress distribution top side is tensile in nature. So, this is top side stress and it gradually decreases, and at neutral axis it is 0, and this bottom fiber generally negative stress is developed. So, this is generally called neutral axis, NA I am representing. So, this as this top side is stress, that is why it is called bending stress, which is tensile in nature, and bottom side that is compressive in nature, that is why here you can see this is bending stress which is compressive in nature. At neutral axis sigma b equal to 0, that is very well familiar to you. So, these types of stress is generally normal stress. This due to this bending moment, whatever the stress is developed in welded joint, here you can say that stress will be bending stress, not shear stress. This you should keep it in mind. But here this direct load P, whatever the load P we are acting here due to replacing this eccentric load P to the center of this weld plane, this P generally will develop a shear stress which is uniformly distributed over its throat area. So, let us here this in this plane of this weld I am representing these things. So, here there is a force P. So, this force will develop a uniformly distributed. So, here I am drawing, then it will be more clear to you. So, this is one weld, this is another weld. So, this force P once we will transfer from this eccentric position E to its center of this well plane, then G location, then due to this force P, here there will develop a shear stress, which is similar to the previous case. Let this shear stress is acting along its throat area. This is the throat cross section. So, here whatever the T here I am showing, so this T is called throat thickness. So, corresponding to this throat thickness, whatever the cross section area we get, that is called throat cross sectional area. So, due to this direct force P, there will act a stress. Let us consider this stress is uniformly distributed throughout the entire weld throat cross sectional area. So, this is called this tau 1, this is called primary shear stress. This is called primary shear stress. So, first step here I am representing to find out the primary shear stress. So, primary shear stress is tau 1, which is equal to your this load P due to this replacement of eccentric load P to its G, whatever the direct force generate the stress, that is called primary shear stress. So, this primary shear stress is tau 1 equal to your P by your A. So, what is this A? A equal to the total throat cross sectional area, throat cross sectional area. Now, due to this replacement of this force P at the center of this well plane, there will act a moment that is called bending moment MB. So, this bending moment, here I am just again drawing this well plane. So, this is the well plane, this is the G of the weld. So, once we replace this force P from eccentric position to G, here will develop a bending moment MB. So, this bending moment generally developed a stress in this weld throat area. So, this bending moment will develop a stress in this weld throat area, that stress is called normal stress, because this bending moment not try to rotate that weld structure. What I am telling, understand, it either try to stress that weld joint or compress that weld joint. That is why this bending moment will develop a normal stress. So, this bending moment, so here I am writing this bending moment MB, which is equal to your P into eccentric distance. This bending moment P into E will develop a normal stress. This you should keep it in mind, this will develop a normal stress. Let us say we are considering this normal stress will act. So, this will act, here I am writing, this will act, assume that we are assuming, okay, this will act perpendicular to throat area. To throat cross sectional area, this you should keep it in mind. Now, we know actually, I am not going to derive that relationship, we know from the bending theory. So, here I am writing from bending theory, we know the bending stress and moment relationship. From the bending theory, we know the bending stress and moment relationship. What is this bending theory and moment relationship? This is very well known to you, I am not going to derive these things. We know that sigma by y is equal to your m by I equal to your E by rho. So, here sigma is called bending stress, m is called bending moment or mb you can write, I is called second moment of area along its axial direction. So, here if we consider this is y axis and this is x axis. So, here I will be I x x and E is called Young modulus and rho is called radius of curvature. So, rho is called radius of curvature. So, from this relationship we know sigma b due to this bending moment whatever the normal stress is developed, that is called bending stress. So, this bending stress is equal to we know m b y by I, okay. Here it will be I x x, this you should keep it in mind. So, due to this bending moment whatever the normal stress developed, this normal stress here I am representing m b is equal to sigma b equal to m b y divided by I. So, this I am representing by equation 1. Now, where m b equal to what? Here m b equal to the bending moment or you can say bending couple. So, you can write bending moment because it try to bend that welded joint, that is why it is creating a normal stress. So, this bending moment or you can say couple which is equal to P into E, this way also you can represent. Here now I am going to discuss how to find out this I and how to find out the resultant stress due to this combine effect. Combine effect means due to the effect of this load P and effect of this bending moment M B. Now, let us consider a small elemental area. Here I am just considering a small element, I am just taking out from this welded section. So, if I take this a small element A, let us consider a small element, here I am representing as let us say small element I am representing in terms of A, or let us here I am representing a small element in terms of L. So, in this small element if I take, so what should be the different stress component. So, in this small element if we take, then the state of stress here I am representing little bit bigger way. So, let this is the small element L. So, in this small element there will act a shear stress, that is called primary shear stress. So, let us the primary shear stress which is acting in this small element which is let us tau 1. I am just representing the state of stress of this small element L, and there due to this bending moment there is developed a bending stress sigma b, correct. So, this is the sigma b, this is the state of stress, you can say state of stress, state of stress of any throat cross sectional element, because in any throat cross sectional element there will act a primary shear stress tau 1 and there will act a bending stress sigma b. This bending stress is normal to this element, that you can say. Now, we are very well familiar about this, how to find out the principal stress or you can say maximum shear stress of a particular types of state of stress. This is very well familiar to us. Then also little bit I am explaining here, then it will be more clear to you. Let us consider this is x axis, this is y axis, and we know let us consider a element. Let us this is a element which is subjected to some biaxial stress sigma y, this is sigma x, this is sigma y, and let this is, because I am refreshing your these things actually idea. So, if we take any section, which makes a angle theta with this. So, in this plane what should be the normal stress sigma n and what should be the shear stress tau, that we can easily find out. So, because we know this sigma n normal stress at any angle theta with x axis, you can say, because if this is theta, then this also will be theta. So, if this is x axis, so you can say this is also similar to x axis. So, sigma n is very well familiar to us, which is actually sigma x plus sigma y by 2. This relationship we can get from the equation of equilibrium, force equation of equilibrium. So, sigma n you can easily find out. This is very well familiar to you. I am not going to detail about these things. Okay. We know this is cos 2 theta plus, let this shear stress which is acting is tau x y. We know here tau x y sin 2 theta. So, this is this normal stress, and we know the shear stress tau on this inclined plane. So, tau equal to, we know this is equal to your minus sigma x minus sigma y by 2 sin 2 theta plus tau x y cos 2 theta, tau x y cos 2 theta. Now, to find out this maximum normal stress and maximum shear stress, what are the things we used to do? We do generally either sigma n by sigma theta equal to 0. This is used for maximum normal stress for finding out principal stress. This is used for principal stress calculation, and for maximum shear stress calculation, what we used to do? We generally used to do del tau by del theta, which is equal to 0, because these are all very well familiar to you. That is why I am not going to derive all these things. So, if we just here we will use what is the maximum shear stress in this element. So, we are interested to find out what is the maximum shear stress in this welded element. That is why here we will show you how to find out the maximum shear stress in this case. Here we can use maximum principal stress criteria also. If there is providing permissible normal stress, then there we can use maximum principal stress criteria also. So, you know this principal stress by using this condition. We know this principal stress general sigma 1 or sigma 2 equal to your sigma x plus sigma y by 2 plus minus a square root of, this is very well familiar, sigma x minus sigma y by 2 whole square plus tau x y square, correct. Now, to find out this maximum shear stress, once we just derive this shear stress, which I am representing in equation number 2, So, by deriving this equation number 2, once we derivating this thing, what we get? We get minus sigma x minus sigma y by 2, because here we will use this maximum shear stress criteria. That is why I am just little bit showing how to get this maximum shear stress in these types of welding condition. So, sigma x minus sigma y by 2 sin 2 theta will be cos 2 theta into 2 minus tau x y sin 2 theta into 2. So, from here we can get tan 2 theta equal to minus sigma x minus sigma y divided by 2 tau x y. Now, we are interested to find out what is the maximum shear stress. So, to find out this maximum shear stress, let us consider these things here. So, once tan 2 theta, or you can say this is called tan 2 theta p equal to this, then we can get maximum shear stress. So, here I am showing this thing. So, let us consider here, let us consider a triangle. Two theta p I am representing. So, here this is our minus sigma x minus sigma y, and this is our 2 tau x y. So, let this is hypotenuse I am representing is r. So, here r is equal to what? R you can retain as sigma x minus sigma y whole square plus 2 tau x y, because here little bit step I am discussing, then it will be more clear to you, that is why I am just showing all these things. So, here we can get what will be the cos 2 theta p. So, cos 2 theta p you can write as this base by hypotenuse. So, 2 tau x y by r, and sin 2 theta p we can say minus sigma x minus sigma y divided by r, correct. Now, if we use this cos 2 theta and sin 2 theta in equation number 2, so this put this in equation number 2, we get what? We get tau, you can say p, or you can say tau maximum, or you can say tau maximum will be equal to your how much? Just sigma x minus sigma y by 2 into here sin 2 theta is how much? Sin 2 theta is also minus sigma x minus sigma y divided by r plus tau x y is there, and cos 2 theta also we can easily put. So, cos 2 theta equal to, here we are getting 2 tau x y divided by r. So, what we can get here? We can get here sigma x minus sigma y whole square, okay, divided by 2 r plus tau x y square 2 tau x y square divided by r. Okay. Now, from here what we can get? We can get just 1 by 2 r I am taking common. So, we are getting sigma x minus sigma y square plus 4 tau x y square, this will be r, or you can say this I am writing here 1 by 2 r taking common. So, we know this r value. So, if we put this r value here, so first of all I am taking these things here. So, 2 into r is already I have find out what is the r. R is actually here I have already shown in equation number 3 I am just representing. So, r is in equation number 3, again here I am writing the thing, then it will be more clear to you. So, you can say tau max is equal to 1 by 2 sigma x minus sigma y whole square plus 4 tau x y square divided by, I am directly putting this r, otherwise you can write here 2 tau x y whole square, this way also you can write. So, r value is given as a square root of sigma x minus sigma y square plus 2 tau x y square. So, if we just do some calculation here, what you can get? You can get 1 by 2 square root of sigma x minus sigma y square plus 2 tau x y whole square. Now, I am multiplying this 1 by 2 inside this root. What we can get? We can get maximum shear stress as whole square plus just tau x y square. So, this is the maximum shear stress what we can get if the state of air stress is biaxial, which I am showing in figure, this is figure 1, this is figure 1. Now, if it is, that means if there is sigma x and sigma y, then generally we can get maximum shear stress is a square root of sigma x minus sigma y by 2 whole square plus tau x y square under root. Okay. So, this I am representing in equation number, let us see, this is equation number 4. Now, in this well case, what is the state of stress we get? So, in this well case we get a state of stress is tau 1 and sigma b, correct. So, tau 1 and sigma b is this two component of stress in this element L are there, okay. But here you can say there is no, here sigma y equal to you can say 0. So, in this equation 4 here sigma y equal to 0, but here sigma x is equal to your sigma b, or you can say here tau x y equal to your tau 1. So, what should be the maximum shear stress in this types of case? So, in this types of state of stress which I am showing, let this is our figure B, this is our figure B. So, in this figure B, so by using this figure B, what we can say? We can say, and putting sigma equal to 0, sigma x is equal to sigma b and tau x is equal to tau 1, by considering this thing, by using, here I am writing by using, so by using, so how it is coming? By using equation 4, we get here tau max is equal to, you can say, or you can say tau resultant is equal to maximum resultant, you can say, equal to our sigma b minus 0 divided by 2 whole square plus tau 1 whole square. So, here we can get as sigma b by 2 whole square plus tau 1 square. So, this way we can easily find out what is the resultant, or you can say maximum shear stress due to this combined effect of bending moment and force P. Okay. So, due to this bending moment and force P in this well throat of any element of this well throat, you can say the maximum shear stress, or you can say resultant shear stress will be sigma b by 2 whole square plus tau 1 square. This you should keep it in mind, because this will be required to find out the dimension of the welded joint. Now, here already we find out what? Sigma b already we find as m b y divided by I. So, once this sigma b will be maximum, then generally you can say your resultant, or you can say tau max, this resultant shear stress also will be maximum. So, this already we find as sigma b by 2 square plus tau 1 square, correct. So, this sigma b will be maximum when you can say this y is maximum, because here m b and I is constant. So, once the y is maximum, there generally the sigma b will be maximum. So, here that also you are very well familiar, generally in case of beam cross section, due to this load P, here you already well familiar, this stress distribution generally if you just consider that this is the neutral axis. So, you know this magnitude, this is the neutral axis. So, in this case you already well familiar about these things, this stress distribution is looking like this due to this bending moment, you know. So, stress is maximum, you can say, at top fiber of this beam. So, here also in this case also, and this y distance which is maximum here. So, here you can say this y should be the distance between this weld axis with you can say this beam axis. Okay. So, this is the y. So, here whatever the position of that weld, this perpendicular distance between these two axes, that distance we have to consider. Now, this is generally called sigma b. Now, once, and how to find out the Ixx? So, Ixx we have to find out what about this neutral axis of this or you can say about the CG of all weld. So, here Ixx about the CG of all weld we have to find out. So, here how we can find out CG of all weld about this x axis, because here this G is not passing through the CG of its weld, let us, this is the CG of its weld which I am representing here, let us a small g1. So, about its a small g1, here already is given the weld have a breadth b. So, we know about its a small g. So, here you can say about the g, the moment of inertia about its own axis g1 plus parallel axis theorem. According to parallel axis theorem, we know that will be your weld cross sectional area of this weld 1, let us weld cross sectional area is A1 into perpendicular distance between x axis and its weld axis. Okay. Here this distance is let us y square, or here this distance is directly we can consider as d by 2 square, correct. So, what is this Ixx with its own axis? This is also very well familiar to you, I am directly putting. So, it will be just b t q. So, b t q by 12 plus area of this weld W1 is will be our t into b into d square by 4 you can say. Now, here what we can say, as t is very small compared to b and d. So, the t q term we can neglect. We can neglect from equation number 1. Let us here this is equation number from equation number 1 of second moment of area or moment of inertia you can say about CG of this weld. So, this is the CG of this weld. So, what we can get here? So, Ixx of weld 1, Ig you can say of weld 1, here I am representing 1, G1 capital G1 will be our T b d to the power 4 divided by 4. Okay. This we can represent. So, as there is two symmetric weld, so total moment of inertia of two welds will be how much here? So, total moment of inertia of two welds will be equal to our 2 into Ixx G1, because two symmetric welds are there. So, we can write here 2 into T b d square, actually this should be d square, So, b d square divided by 4. So, this we can say T into b d square by 2. Now, here one things you can see, this sigma b, here we are neglecting this t q term. So, here you can see m b y by I x x g, this is g means. So, here I x x g is equal to our I x x g 1 plus I x x g 2, that means all weld moment of inertia. So, here we can write as this is I x x g. Okay. Now, here one things you can see, here we are neglecting this term in equation number let us 2. So, we are neglecting this term equal to 0. So, here generally we are reducing this magnitude of this Ixx value, because once we neglect this term BTQ by 12, then we can say this Ixx about G will be little bit lower side. So, here due to this neglecting of this TQ, this magnitude is little bit decreasing. So, Ixx once it decreasing, then you can say sigma B is increasing. What I am telling, understand? So, once sigma B is increasing, that means here we are considering whatever the actual stress developing in this weld cross section, we are considering more stress is developing there. That means, once we consider more stress developing in this section, then what happens, you can say we will be in safe side, because whatever the dimension and other things will predict there, their dimension of that weld will be higher side due to this considering of higher stress developing in that weld section. So, by neglecting this TQ term here, whatever the dimension or whatever the design welded joint dimension will get here, that will be in more safe side. What I am telling, understand, because here we are considering that okay, there is developing some more stress. So, once there will be more stress, then there should require more size of this what it is called leg length or throat thickness, correct, to sustain from that more stress. So, dimension of this weld should be higher side, that means here we are considering more thickness of throat and more dimension of weld leg length. We will be in further safe side, you can say. By considering this thing, whatever the stress will be there, that will be lower side. Then for that, generally our dimension of this throat thickness and leg length also generally will be lower side. But if we neglect this TQ term, whatever the stress will develop, it's increase this stress level. So, for that generally throat thickness and leg length dimension should be higher side. That is why whatever the things by neglecting TQ term we are calculating, that will gives more safe dimension of weld. That is why what happens by neglecting this term, there is no problem actually. That sort of things I am going to tell. So, once we get this resultant shear stress, this resultant shear stress we have to now compare with permissible shear stress. So, by this relationship, that means this tau max is equal to tau p, where tau p is equal to permissible shear stress, we can easily find out what is the throat thickness and what is the leg length is equal to leg length of the weld. So, this is the procedure once a welded structure subjected to some bending stress. So, next lecture I will discuss some problem related to welded structure or welded joint subjected to some bending moment. Okay. Thank you.